here, family. Welcome to the new season of Dominate Your Dreams. I want to share just a couple of our sponsors first, and then we'll get into the first new exciting episode. Listen, fam, I love barbecue. Eating it, cooking it, and getting together with family and friends. As you know, when you have the perfect meat, you need the perfect sauce. And for me, that's Dooley Daniels barbecue sauce. Listen, you have to try the new mango habanero barbecue sauce. I love it. Dooley Daniels barbecue. His sauce is king. Order yours today. It's a family tradition. We all love new babies and celebrating special occasions. Life is filled with constant change that you have to adjust to. With that change, you want empathy, comfort, and assurance. Mercy Funeral Systems does that. I've experienced their work, always professional, always courteous. They help you cope with change. All right, family, we've got a very special guest today for another edition of the Dominate Your Dreams show, and go back a long ways. Has done great things and still doing great things today. He is a singer, a writer, actor, producer, husband, father, grandfather, CEO, fan favorite, soul man. He's legendary, he's an icon, and he's also a little known Black history fact. He's a doctor now. Hello, Mr. Lenny Williams. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I see you dressed up for me. Look at you. Oh man, got that tie, got that nice knot and everything in there.
It's not every day I get to be around a legend and an icon. So, I had to dust something off and pay homage.
Well, I appreciate that.
And you're a doctor now, so.
Yes, yeah, right. I just happened to be on the computer one day and I got this message. People were talking about my accomplishments and everything. Well, actually, my wife said somebody's trying to get in touch with you, and then went to one of the universities and talked to the head person there, chancellor, and the president, and they said they just wanted to reward me for various things that I've done throughout the community, and so I was super excited about it and humbled by it. As a matter of fact.
So you did get your honorary doctorate from.
Yeah. Yes.
Want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, from Cal State University. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. We salute you.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And if you want to send donations or whatever, yes, right.
Man, you haven't changed a bit. You haven't changed.
I was a teenage preacher, so I know how to take an offer.
Well, I know you got a lot of good knowledge to share. We're so glad and excited to have you on the program once again. Why are you still in the game today? What motivates you?
Well, it's kind of like I've been doing it so long. It's like the only thing I really excel at right now. To be honest, I think I might excel at do pretty good with real estate. But seems like that the music business is something that some kind of way I'm going to have some money coming in to, take care of the family, and that's the way it's been for the last 50 something years. And I love music. Music's been a part of my life, ever since I was a kid. My mom always tells the story that when I was about a year old or a year and a half old, I learned to say the Lord's Prayer. And so she called some of the mothers from the church, and how down south they say, they use both names, Leonard Charles. She said, Leonard Charles knows how to say his prayers. And so they all gathered around. She said, go ahead, son. So I said, Our Father. Then I threw my hands up in the air and said, hey, Baba Rebop, which was a hit song at that time. And so I guess music just been a part of my life. And, I just can't get away from it.
Well, definitely want to go back into that part of your life. But first, I want you to tell me, because I know you've been dealing with the COVID situation and staying active and doing things. And you and I have been in music for a long time, but there are entertainers just getting in or thinking about doing it or really being discouraged because the industry is shut down right now. What advice would you give them?
Well, I guess young people today are very fortunate because you have the internet, so I would imagine that they just have to be innovative and creative and use a tool that wasn't there for people like me, when I first started. And, that just may be the new normal. We don't know where this is going. And so I see a lot of people, using internet, through social media and things of that nature. And I think that that's a good way to, to get started and to just kind of maintain what you're doing. Sometimes you got to march in place,
Yeah.
and so if a person is just starting out, that would be a good place to start, making contacts and things of that nature, and building alliances. And so that would be my recommendation.
And I know you have a unique perspective because you came up in an era where you're very hands-on with the fans and things like that. And this is so different now, because I know you like performing in front of people, being able to touch them and feel them, and use your energy based off of them. What has this been like? What you trying to do? Maybe things on social media versus that.
Well, you see this morning, I couldn't hardly get on this computer, right? so yeah, thank God for that Texas wife of mine, that that know how to turn it on, and and maneuver her way around. Yeah, but I've had to learn to be adept at
Hmm.
the computer, getting on social media, and just trying to find my way around and things of that nature, and just keeping in touch with people, saying hello and letting people know that I'm still here, still do. I put a record out in March, well, in April, I think it was April, and right in the the beginning
Yeah.
of the whole COVID virus. Had I known it was going to go like this, maybe I wouldn't have done that. So, but then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, we out here now. We gotta figure out how do we do this. And so I've just been maintaining by staying in touch with my people who are in the industry, and by being online, and here I am, doing something with you, and
Hmm.
so it's letting people know exactly what's happening. So you just have to re-innovate, and
Yeah.
reconfigure. Yeah.
And I know you've had to do that a lot over the years, but one thing was constant was you had a great voice. What gave us the singer Lenny versus the pastor Lenny? Because there was a fork in the road you could have made. I guess you could have gone the other way.
Well, I was a teenage preacher, right? And I wound up going to Merritt College in Oakland, and I'm walking across the campus one day, and somebody's like, "Hey, brother, what you doing with that Bible?" And happened to be a young brother named two young brothers, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, who
Mm.
started the Black Panther Party. We were going to college together. They hadn't started the party at that time, and Huey's father was a preacher from Louisiana, and my dad's
Wow.
from Louisiana. So we had, his birthday is February 17th, and mine is the 16th. So we started talking about the Bible, and then he suggested that I read a book by France Fanon called "Wretched of the Earth," and I started reading that. And the 60s was a turbulent time in the United States. It seemed like we were revisiting that time, around race and race relations and things of that nature, civil rights, and so I coming up in church, was very conservative, and
Hmm.
so if you had a picket sign, or you decided to, raise the Black Power salute or something like that, a lot of the pastors felt that was that you were an agitator. I mean, even
Yeah.
Black pastors, they, oh no, you got to calm down, boy, and so I wanted to grow an afro, and
Hmm.
I remember my pastor was like, you can't have no afro singing in the choir, in my choir. And so I just the call of the wild was calling me, to
Yeah.
get involved. And so I just made a conscious decision. And then also, I was having conflicts at that time, because it was like, well, I'm a Christian, and George Wallace is a Christian, and
Yeah.
uh, 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 Governor Stennis is a Christian. Governor Faubus is a Christian. These are all these governors that are saying,
Yeah.
segregation now, segregation forever. And
Yeah.
so I was like, we're in the same fraternity. We got the, we all
Yeah.
serving Jesus, but we. So I just made a conscious decision to walk away, and and so that's what I did for a period in my life. But praise God. I finally, got to a place where I could, could, where I, I realized in my life that, that I did love God and I did, that I am a Christian and I picked it back up. So that was what was happening to me during that time period when I was in my early 20s, 19, 20, 21. I was just going through a lot of conflicts and trying to, you know, balance my life and my mind and see exactly where I was at and what was real and what wasn't.
And what drove you to go more toward music? I know you sung gospel, but what
Right.
drove you toward the R&B?
Well, I grew up with Walter Hawkins, Ed Hawkins, Sly Stone, the Stewart family, Odia Coates singing that sang "Having My Baby" with Paul Anka, Andre Crouch, Billy Preston.
Yeah.
So I started seeing a lot of them, you know, venture out. And then, so it's really funny. Although I tried to say that I walked away from Christianity and I walked away from God, I I I still had the tenets. I still had the beliefs. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking God gave me this talent, which I was using for preaching, but I was using my voice and I would sing it in church. But something was telling me, if you don't use it, God gonna take it from you, right? So then I said,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm gonna use it singing R&B. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sing church songs no more, but I'm gonna sing some R&B. And so that's basically what I was doing. I was acknowledging that the gift was given to me by God. And so I said, well, I'm not gonna use it in church, but I'm still gonna use it. And so that's what made me start to to try to develop a secular career.
And I know at that time it just seemed like everybody had talent, real singers back then. How difficult was it for you to get a break? Because it seemed like everybody was singing back then.
Well, I went to a radio, the local radio station had a talent show every Thursday night.
Hmm.
And I'd go down there. A friend of mine talked me into going down there. And I'd go down there and bam, I'd sing. I had two songs because I had been in church, right? But I knew I was made to love it by Stevie Wonder and
Uh-huh.
A Change Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. And I'd go down there
Come
and,
on.
and I'd go down there and the band just like, what key? I was like, I don't know, the same key on the record. Like, and bam, they'd play it, and I'd win every week. Boom, 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 boom. It was just like
Wow.
that was my money. Yeah, if I showed up, I was gonna win that money. Yeah, and
Guaranteed.
guaranteed, right? And so I won every week, except one time I didn't win. They had a lady up there dancing. She was exotic, right? Dancing, dancing, dancing. And the thing was when you won, then you had to kind of repeat your performance, right? You had to sing
Yeah.
again. And so she danced again. All the guys was just loving it, right? And so I felt real bad, but my friend was telling me, he said, well, Fred Astaire said that that no man can compete with a woman when she's dancing and she's in her glory. I said, well, if it's good enough for Fred Astaire, it's good enough for me. So I didn't take that, too bad. And so, but one night I was there, and a guy by the name of Ray Shanklin, who worked for Fantasy Records,
Hmm.
happened to be there, and he's like, "Do you want to make a record?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I hooked up with him, and and that started my professional career. I met John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater, but at that time, he had a little band called the Gollywogs, and I
Hmm.
met Huey Lewis had a little band called Clover at that time. And,
Yeah.
I just went to work, trying to learn how to write songs. I was watching John, and watching how he writes songs and, just started on my journey.
So it wasn't any overnight success like a lot of the young artists think today. Oh, I can sing, so
Uh,
next week I'll be on BET or whatever.
no, they didn't have American Idol back then, right? Or The Voice or none of that stuff, right? It was like, okay, get to work. And, I think I was like, uh, 20 at that time because I remember I was, back in those days, you weren't grown until you was 21, right?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I was married and everything like that, I still couldn't like really enter into a contract. And I remember signing the contract and everything and saying I was 21. And and so it took me wow, a good 6 years to to finally get some, some national success.
Traction.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I
And
was, in it, and and trying to make records and putting them out, and where they wasn't hitting, and feeling defeated, and and just feeling like I was not successful, and but I just kept at it.
and what was the driving force or the motivation, I guess, that kept you going during that time dealing with those obstacles?
Well, I guess because I had my eye on the prize and I wanted it. I just couldn't understand why I I wasn't being successful, like, and it's like, well, I have a good voice. Everybody says I have a good voice. So, so now what's the missing ingredient? Is it the songs, so I'm trying to start hooking up with songwriters, trying to write songs, or is it the vehicle, the right record company? I didn't have a manager, is it, me finding a manager or whatever. So then plus, I was a young father, so just wanting to be able to, provide. And so I was just like, I just wanted it so bad, and I mean, it's sort of like, like football or whatever. You got a great team, you got a great coach, you got a great organization, but you're not winning, and it's like something's happening. We got to do something, and I just kept on kind of moving the chess pieces around until I found the right combination.
And so after the 6 years is that of that run, is that when you ran in Tower of Power, or was it a little later?
Well, it was kind of all, what happened was I was on Fantasy and I'd made a couple of records, never a whole album. I think I'd done about 3 singles. And so I went to Saul Zantz, who, was the president of the record company. And him and I had a pretty decent relationship because he'd known me since I was really young. And I asked him if I could leave the company. And he was like, well, do you have something else going? I was like, no, but I just feel like I'm tied in, and and maybe if I'm unencumbered and I'm just out here, maybe that'll make me. Maybe I got too complacent because I had a record deal. But it wasn't like I was making a bunch of money or nothing. But just I got a record deal, and so maybe that necessity is the mother of invention. So he said okay, and then I started. Well, Larry Graham, Sly had moved to Los Angeles, right? So it was hard to get to him. And so, but Larry Graham was still in Oakland, and he had a little flashy car, and you'd see him riding down the road. I said, I don't know, for some reason, I attached myself to him. And I said, if I could meet that dude, that's going to be my vehicle to success, right? And so it was really uncanny because I would go to a party or something, just somebody that I knew. And then they'd be talking and say, "Oh man, that dude Larry Graham was here," not knowing that in my heart I'm feeling like that's my ticket, right? That's my vehicle.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, and it would happen 4 or 5 times. I was like, this is the weirdest thing. I keep missing this dude. So one Saturday I'm driving down the street. I had a 1962 Jaguar, right? And that thing would break down, and so I had every mechanical tool known to man in my trunk, right? And I'm driving down the street, and who do I see but Larry in his flashy car with the hood up? I said, "Oh, God done bless me," right? So I pull over. Hey man, you need some help? Yeah. So I'm boom, boom. Got his car started. I introduced myself. Hey, my name's Lenny. I'm a singer. He said, "Oh yeah." And so I said, "Yeah, I grew up with Sly." And I said, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "What you doing tonight?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Why don't you come to the house? We're going to be jamming around and stuff." So I said, "Okay, cool." 8 o'clock, I'm getting all, trying to dress up like this, what I mean, and just to impress. And then on the way up there, my home training kicked in, and I stopped and got a bottle of wine. And go up there, and he opened the door, and I give him the wine. There's all kind of people up there hanging out. And he said, "Man, I'll be having people coming over here every day, every night. We jamming up here." He said, "You're the first person that ever bought something up here. Everybody be up here, come to Larry's house. I got the drink, I got the weed, I got, what I mean? I got the music." And so we became fast friends. Next thing I know, when he was going to he'd go out of town, he'd leave the key to his house, key to his cars with me, and can you take my car and get it tuned up? Can you do this? Can you do that? Whatever. And, I got somebody come by, fix the plumbing. Can you, can you come up here and whatever? So boom, I was in, right?
Yeah.
And so him and I started working on music together. So he's like, I'm gonna hook you up, I'm gonna produce you, right? So we started working on music. Then there was a lot of trouble going on with Sly and the Family Stone. So I find out, and so then it became apparent that Larry's going to leave. So all those songs that he was working on for me and Chocolate, he decided, well, hey, I'm getting out of Sly and the Family Stone, so I'm going to start this band called Graham Central Station. So I'm using them. And but he said, I want to put some horns on this stuff. So he called this band. Let me backtrack a little bit. So I had a record out on Fantasy, and I didn't have a band. So one of my neighbors told me that the mailman used to manage bands, right? And so he introduced me to this little band called the Motown Soul Band. And they lived in Fremont, California, which is about 35, 40 miles from Oakland. And I went down, and it was this little band, mostly young white kids. And so I met them, but I was like about 21 or 22 or something at that time, maybe 23. And someone was still in high school. So it's like, wow, we really can't do anything because I'm going to be trying to be playing in clubs and stuff. So I think I did a couple of little fairs or something with them, and then kind of parted ways. So then Larry, fast forward, Larry's like, got to put some horns on some of this stuff. Let me call this band called Tower Power. It was making some noise, right? And we called the horn players from them. So they come over. When they walk in the door, I'm saying, oh, these are little dudes from the Motown Soul Band, And so we got reconnected.
Wow.
And I started writing with them. I started hanging out, writing with them. And they had a singer. And I wrote, on their album and stuff like that. And then the next album, I wound up being the singer with Tower Power.
Wow. What a story. Came full circle.
Came full circle, right? Yeah, I mean, because I had met them through the mailman a couple of years before that, maybe 2.5, 3 years, yeah. And then as it turned out, I guess it was meant to be. We wound up reconnecting.
And y'all stayed together for how long?
We were actually officially together. I think I joined the band December of 1972, and I left in like February of 75. So about 2 years and 3 or 4 months, something like that. Yeah.
Now, do you miss performing with a group versus performing by yourself?
Well, I mean, there's certain aspects of being in a group that I like. The focus. I mean, the focus is always on the lead singer, but the whole business aspect is divided. If the band doesn't sound good, you got an off night. It's the band. But if doing it by yourself, Lenny Williams. So it's all on, it's all on me. Yeah, right. Yeah. So from that aspect, but I think I've grown to appreciate and like, being a solo artist. Yeah. But I mean, they both have been fun and both enjoyable. Yeah. But I think being solo is what I like the best, because I can be in control of my time, and so I like that a lot better.
And the split is a lot better too.
Oh yeah, the split is a lot better. Yeah, the split is a lot better. That's for doggone sure. So yeah, they both have their pros and cons. Yeah.
So you leave them and you wind up coming up with the greatest love song of all.
Mm-hmm.
And the motivation behind that was?
Well, I had a guy that used to work on my house. He was a carpenter, and he always, always had different little projects going. And he'd always tell me about his son. Oh, my son can dance. My son can sing. My son writes songs. He played guitar. My son is just the man. He's the bomb, right? And so I'm thinking, what father doesn't think that about his son? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally relented one day and said, "Okay, let me meet your son." So I came up, and his son was everything that he said he was, right?
Mm.
And so, but he was a lot younger than me, and we were writing songs. We write songs, and he would always tell me that he had to be motivated to write. And I was saying, well, I understand that because I'm a writer too. I said, but did you know at Motown, those guys, they go to work. They go in 9 o'clock every morning, punch a clock, go in a room, Smokey over here, and Holland and Holland over there, and, you know, whomever, you know what I mean? Johnny Briscoe over here, and they writing, and they
Yeah.
5 o'clock they punch out, and Mr. Barry Gore to be expecting, something every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you doing, right? You had a productivity. I said, so motivation, the motivation is that Barry Gore is going to write you a check at the end of the week, so every day you trying to come up with an idea, boom, 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 whatever. So I'm trying to sell him on that theory, and so one day he came over, he did every morning. And I was like, well, I don't really feel like it today. And he's like, why? So me and my girl got into it last night, and I just ain't feeling it. And he said, well, what if you was working for Barry Carty? What would you do? You taking the day off? And I said, no. So he talked me into it. And we went back in the music room, and boom, that was it. Yes. That's how Cause I Love You came together.
So definitely a true story, true lyrics, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was
to an extent.
To an extent, a lot of times people think that every song that you write that is autobiographical, which in my case is not true, but I'm sure that some writers it is. And but so I would say part of it is autobiographical, something that I've experienced personally, and then then it's just like talking to my friends and watching them when they break up or they think they're gonna break up, how it affects them, and and they don't want to cry, or they don't want to do this, and they talking to their friends about it, and their friends say, "Oh man, forget about her. I'll just leave her," and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's how it all came together. Part of what I was experiencing, part of what I've seen, my friends and guys, just reading books about men when they break up, and saying we put it together.
Well, how does it feel to have a song that big and for it to be timeless? Because you've got kids today that identify with it, older people. I mean, from every era, that song it's just like it will continue on and on.
Well, it's just amazing, I mean, it's just unbelievable. You think about great baseball players. I mean, how long been playing baseball, but then there's people that stand out. I mean, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron. People that been maybe 100,000 people that played professional baseball. From the early 19, I don't know when it started, not in 1800s up until now. But there's certain people that stand out. There were certain people that were good, probably were MVPs and in the Hall of Fame that people don't even know their names. You know what I mean? It's like being a president. It's like if you went down and tried to name all 45 presidents, who stands out? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, certain people. But then there's certain presidents like, I didn't even know nothing about him. You know what I mean? So to write a song, you think about all the hit songs out there, that they're hits and then they kind of fade away and they, just out here somewhere, and that you write a song that just sticks around and just won't go somewhere and just be in the annals of just sit in a crate somewhere, or sit in a record collection somewhere, and and every now and then somebody put it out. I mean, this song is just always present, and so it's it's humbling, and then it's like, oh, I wish I could write about 5 more like that. I take one more. Yeah, right.
You're getting pretty good royalties, fam. Your royalties are pretty good.
Yeah, the royalties have been exceptional. It's just been amazing, and then with the the advent of sampling, young kids going out and sampling the records. We Kanye West and Twista, and that great Texan Scarface, sampled me, and and Trey Songz. The list goes on. Jay-Z, Andre 3000, Young Jeezy, and so it just keeps the music alive. It makes it classic. A lot of
Yeah.
times people say, one, these rappers, they don't write anything original. They go back and they get the music and they do that. So they're not, totally, you know, totally, original. And I was like, I've got friends of mine that graduated from Juilliard School of Music and Berklee School of Music. I mean, these prestigious music schools. And then they'll go and do their version of Beethoven or Bach or
Hmm.
Brahms.
Hmm.
And that's what make that music classic, because it's been around for centuries, right? And
Yeah.
so if somebody goes back and they get a Smokey Robinson song and they do it, and then 30 years later somebody else redoes it, that's what makes Smokey's music classic or Bob
Yeah.
Dylan's music classic. And so so I say, well, the rappers are making all the music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s. They're making it
Yeah.
classic by going back and doing their interpretation of the music. Yeah, so it's really interesting.
Well, I have to ask because I've asked other entertainers who've had similar success with one particular song. Do
Hmm.
you ever get tired of singing this song?
Never,
Because I love you.
never, ever, ever. I never get tired of singing it. Yeah. I just hope that I can all just always sing it. You know what I mean? It's get up there. Yeah. It's a challenge. It's really interesting because now when I write songs and I think about it, I say, well, or I'm doing a performance on a song and I want to hit a note. And then I say, do I really need that note in there? Because I might have to sing this song 20 years,
Yeah.
and I got this note in there. I remember God, David Ruffin, right, had the song "Walk Away from Love." Away from love, dear.
Hmm.
He go up there, and then I remember, I don't know, it was because maybe David was using drugs or alcohol at the time, but he would be sing, "Oh, you got good me, Jane," like when and just be perfect. But when he would go up to hit that note, and everybody be waiting for it, he was going on, he was having a difficult time hitting that note, and it was like he he didn't really have to put that note in that song, right? So when I write songs now, uh, uh, I guess necessarily not when I write it, but when I perform it, I write it from a defensive. I mean, I
Yeah.
perform from a defensive point of view. Like I ain't
Yeah.
putting nothing in there that I ain't been 5 years from now. You know what I mean? No, I ain't hitting that note. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of now and notes, tell us
Uh,
about the new project that you have out now.
yeah. Well, I had decided that I wasn't going to be a recording artist anymore. That I was just going to be a performing artist. It's like, wow. I mean, why make records? I got songs out that people love, and the music business has changed. You got the streaming, and you can hardly make any money off of streaming. It's so difficult. And to get the royalties up to a certain level where you really making money. And so I was just
Hmm.
like, well, the phone keeps ringing. Why do that? Just work on my catalog. Try to get it playing, and just be a performing artist. And so then somebody called me and asked me, a salesman from the local record company, I mean, local radio station here, called me and asked me to do him a favor. He had a friend that was a poet, and he was doing a song, doing a poetry, and then he wanted somebody to kind of sing on it. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that for you. So I go over and we go to the studio, and the song was good, and I did it. But I met the engineer and the co-writer, who was a kid named by the name of Levi Caesar, who played with Prince in the New Power Generation band. And so I was like, and he was kind of, producing everything. And I was like, I'd like, he wrote the music and all that. And I was like, well, I'd like that. I'd like to work with you, right? I mean, he inspired me, right? And
Yeah.
so then we started. He said, well, why don't you come by? We set a date for me to come by, and so we go by and to have a writing session. He said, can I interview you? I was like, yeah. So we sit down, and he turns on his tape recorder and he interviews me for like a couple hours. And then he said, well, let's hook up, next week. And I was thinking, I came over here to write and, this kid interview me, right? So
Yeah.
what's, I mean, as he played for Prince for 5 years, maybe he crazy like Prince, you know what I mean? I don't know. So I come back and he said, I got an idea. He said, you've been married, been the same woman for 40 something years. You own property, you own your publishing, your kids are grown, they doing good, this and that. He said, look like you're doing fine. And so he said, I got the idea about this song called Fine. So we wrote that song and had all the different stuff in there about my life. I'm doing fine. If anybody asks you, I'm okay. And then we just started writing songs. So I thought that was going to be, we write one song, then we started writing another and another. The next thing I know, I've got half of an album, right? And then I hooked up with my friend DOA, and he was we be talking, he said, yeah, he's working on Kim's new record. So he was telling me about the whole process and everything. And then he had just done Keith Sweat's latest album and had done Joe's latest album. So I'm just talking about music and everything. He said, man, I got a couple songs I'd like you to do. So then I go down and hang out with him. Then I got 2 more songs. And so next thing I know, bam, I got a record, you know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, let's put it out and see what happens. Yeah. So that's how that came.
And I know you can't wait to get out and really perform it on the road once all this is settled.
Exactly.
How can people get it right now, though? How can they listen?
Well, we're up on iTunes. We're on Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, you name it. If somebody's selling music, it's out there, on the internet, and then people can go to lennywilliams.com and they can, request it, and then I, put it in the envelope. And, I got me a job, put it in the envelope, put a stamp on it, go down to the post office and send it to you. Right? Yeah, good old fashioned, old school music business. Yeah, I work in the stock room too. Yes, yeah.
And because you've given so much great old school, are there any law artists that you like today that you really like?
Oh yeah, I mean I like Calvin Richardson, of course Anthony Hamilton. I like the little girl that the one that Kanye jumped up on the stage and I'm trying to think of her name. Yeah, little thin girl, right? Yeah, right. I like her. I mean, she's like a fabulous songwriter. And so there's a lot of people out there that I like, and I think that music is in good hands. Yeah, kids are innovative, and come up with some great stuff. Yeah.
Now you've performed around the world. I mean, is there anybody that you would like to work with that you haven't worked with? Maybe do a duet with, something like that?
I don't know. Maybe Beyonce, yeah.
But you wouldn't want her to redo your song like she did with Frankie.
Why not?
No problem, Bob.
Yeah, the Beyonce is very, very talented,
She is.
And I think the only mistake that was made in her career was when she was in that movie Dreamgirls. I think that she should have played the role that Jennifer Hudson, played, because to me that was, they could have beautied her down,
Yeah.
And and she would have sang that song that Jennifer Hudson won the Academy Award for, or whatever. Because I thought she would have done a fantastic job. I was just on the internet the other night and I watched her sing The Way We Were, Barbara Streisand song, and I was like, wow, this girl can sing anything. Yeah, right. Yeah, so she's
well, I'm sure she'd be open to sing with you. She's did it with Luther and several others. I mean, you're an icon. What, she'd be probably humble.
I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure she got all kind of offers, but I do know her stepdaddy is, I grew up with him, right? Richard Lawson, right? Yeah. So yeah. So if I ever run into Richard, I have to tell him, hey man, you tell Beyonce to I want to do a song with her. But it's real interesting though, because Jay-Z sampled me once, right? And I was just like, I'd be thinking, I was like, I wonder how did that happen? He around the house and Beyonce said, he got his clothes on, he getting ready to go somewhere, and Beyonce said, Jay, where you going? He said, oh, I'm going to the studio with Jeezy. I got to do this thing with Jeezy. And she said, what you doing? Oh, we're doing this song by Lenny Williams. I said, my name is up in the crib. You know what I mean? I'm in they talk about me in the $50 million apartment, right? A condo or something, so it's like, well, just kind of interesting. Like I was watching this kid the other night in Tyler Perry's play, singing "Cause I Love You," right? And I was just like, the billionaire, Tyler, it's like, he putting this stuff together, and then he's like, what can I do over here to make this? I'm gonna do Lenny Williams song. So I mean, it's like I'm in his, I'm in his.
You're there.
At least twice, because I mean, one time he did a play a long time ago, and he said, "Yeah, by the time Lenny got to that third, I was pregnant." You know what I mean? Making a joke, and then he turned around, and put my song in his music. I said, "Wow, the billionaire, I'm in his mind." And then I was like, one day Obama gave his, they asked him, what is his summer playlist? And So Very Hard to Go was on that. I said, oh, in the White House, you know what I mean? All these buttons that could, all these things that need to be done. So when the president decided to just sit back and put his feet up in the Oval Office and listen to music, boom, Lenny Williams is, there. And so it's just kind of interesting when you think about it, how, I guess there's a scripture in the Bible says a man's gift will make room for him and bring him before great men. And, so it's just interesting. So, maybe, Beyonce might be saying, you know what, I think I want to do a song with Lenny Williams, right? Yeah.
I think you should put it out there.
Yeah.
You did it in the past, and I'm sure you're still handy with tools, aren't you? So maybe a car.
Yeah, if that Rolls Royce, that Maybach goes down, you know what I mean? I got yes.
I think that would be a great combination, man. You ought to give it a try.
Yeah.
Just reach out to them. I'm sure they'd be glad, be pleased to hear from you. Like, it's the icon, Lenny Williams.
It's a thought of that'll keep me going for the next 20 years, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Keep me thinking.
And speaking of movies, when is the movie coming, family?
I don't know. I found an old computer that I had, and I charged it up last week. And I'm procrastinating because I haven't even opened it up and started it, but I had started writing a book about my life, and so I said, I'm going to, while I'm going through this COVID thing and sitting around the house, might as well, try to do that and finish that book. So try to do that, and then maybe, figure out, hook up with Tyler Perry or somebody and see if we can make that happen.
I would certainly be on board, looking forward to that.
Yes.
And tell Tyler, if y'all need somebody to,
you might find out. Oh man, I don't like it.
No. I'm trying to get in the play or the movie. I know you need an announcer.
We can't have nobody looking better to be in the play right now.
Yeah. Well, like you said about Beyonce, I'll dress down. I'll play my role.
Yeah, I got one guy to be in my band, Jimmy McKinney, but he be dressing right. I said, Jimmy, you can't come up here looking better than me on stage, all right? Stay back there on that keyboard. I ain't telling you to wear no jeans and nothing like that, some broke hands, but when you getting dressed, say, am I gonna look better than Lenny? Maybe I better not wear this tonight, right?
Oh man, listen, really appreciate the time. Give everybody your social media again, just so they get in touch.
Yeah, so it's lennywilliams.com. That's my website. And then I'm on Twitter at Lenny Williams. I'm on Instagram, Lenny. And, I'm out there. If they come up with something else today, tomorrow, I'm going to be on it. And, so you can reach me. I definitely check it out 4 or 5 times a day, just trying to stay in touch with everybody. Don't have anybody but me and my wife doing it. So, if you get a message back, it's either me or my wife, so, we just hands on, And so, yeah, you get in touch, say hello, whatever, and we'll respond.
We know you love your fans.
Yes, And my new CD is like it's called Fine. We got a new song out called Southern Girl. I got me a little Southern girl, and so just a tribute to all the Southern girls. Whether you was born in the South or not, if your grandmama was a Southern girl, she from Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, you got that home training, so you a Southern girl too. So yeah, so we just honoring all the Southern girls.
Well, before you go, I need you to do one more thing for me. Can you give 3 tips of what helped you kind of get through the climbing the ladder of your dream?
Well, I'd say number one, whatever you want to do, try to be, you know, be the be the best at it. Try to be good at it. I mean, being the best. I mean, that's all subjective, but just be good at what you do. You're the light man, you're the sound engineer, whatever. Singer, songwriter. Just be good at what you do. And then I would say number two is to make friendships. Have a good attitude, about people. Try to make friends, because that's my wife was in sales, and she was like, hey, being in sales is all about making friends, because if I'm friends with the person that's got the contract, and if I'm doing business and somebody offered them the same thing, the same figures that I'm offering them, because I'm their friend, they're gonna give it to me. You know what I mean? And so give the contract to me. And so I say, try to be friends. You go to radio station, and you're a little snotty with the front desk, assistant, and you come back 3 years later, and they the general manager, the music director, and you say, oops, I shouldn't have been mean to her. You know what I mean? And so, it's just always nice to be nice. And then I would say, avoid, substances. Just don't get involved in substance abuse, because it can destroy your talent. It can make you do things that will embarrass you. And so you definitely don't want to, you just want to keep a lid on that. And I think those are the 3 most important things that I could tell somebody.
That's the great Lenny Williams, family. Be looking for his movie, his book, and definitely go buy his CD. It's been another edition of Dominate Your Dreams. He had a great one. We'll see you next time, Mr. Wayne Down. All right, family, that'll do it for this episode. Remember, do all you can while you can, and dominate your dreams.